Myocardial contractility is increased by stem 1 catecholamine, an increase in heart rate, an increase in fiber length, increased parasympathetic activity and calcium ion. If I suddenly ask question from you, what happened to your heart? Both heart rate and contractility will increase. What happened at the exam, especially in the Viva session? Your heart rate and contractility massively goes up. Viva exam questions not directly going to stimulate your heart. The thing is, your own sympathetic nervous system going to stimulate your heart. Activation of your own sympathetic nervous system going to secrete catecholamine, adrenaline and noradrenaline. Those catecholamine come and stimulate your myocardial cells. Release adrenaline and noradrenaline. Go and stimulate your beta 1 receptors which are present in the myocardial cells. Beta 1 receptors travel 7 times through the membrane. This outer portion of the receptor where adrenaline attached, then receptor travels 7 times through the membrane. Then inside it attached to the G stimulated protein. Just because of it travels 7 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 through the membrane, we are going to call it as 7 fast receptor. I don't know why they travel 7 times. Do you like to travel same place 7 times? Answer is no. But this receptor travel 7 times the membrane. I don't know why. 7 fast receptor. Or G protein coupled receptor. Inside it coupled with G protein. Or serpentine receptor. All are same. Once your adrenaline come and bind to here, what happen? Inside it stimulate. G stimulated part going to stimulate. Once your G stimulated part stimulate, it can activate adenylyl cyclase. Activated adenylyl cyclase can convert ATP into cyclic AMP. Now you are cell having large amount of cyclic AMP because of adrenaline stimulation. Cyclic AMP can stimulate or activate protein kinase A. Activated protein kinase A can stimulate release of endoplasmic reticulum calcium. Your endoplasmic reticulum having large amount of calcium. Activation of protein kinase A cause endoplasmic reticulum to release calcium into the cytosol. Now calcium is going to release cytosol. Not only that, this protein kinase A can stimulate calcium channel, can activate calcium channel. Therefore, outside calcium come into inside. This calcium can stimulate endoplasmic reticulum and further release calcium. This mechanism is called calcium-induced calcium release. Calcium-induced calcium release. Now your cell having large amount of calcium. What happened now? Those calcium go and bind to troponin C. Then remove the tropomyosin inhibition. Now your actin and myosin chain are exposed. They can interact each other, they can contract. That is how contract happens. Not only contract, because of calcium, contraction velocity also increase. Heart rate also going to be increased. We will see what happens when your parasympathetic nervous system activate. Once your parasympathetic nervous system activate, they are going to release acetylcholine. This is your parasympathetic nervous system going to release acetylcholine. These acetylcholine come and bind with muscarinic 2 receptors which are present in the myocardial cell. Muscarinic 2 receptors. Once these receptors activate, they inhibit adenylyl cyclase. So this part they are going to be inhibited. Not only that, they stimulate potassium channel. They stimulate potassium channel, therefore potassium rapidly go into outside. So cell become more and more negative. Cell become hyperpolarized. Hyperpolarized. What happened? Your heart rate and contractility both reduce. Activation of sympathetic nervous system called fight or flight. Activation of parasympathetic nervous system called eating and digest. Eating and digest. If you want, you can add defecation, salivation, urination as well. But commonly called eating and digest. So, activation of parasympathetic nervous system causes reduced myocardial contractility and heart rate. Activation of sympathetic nervous system called increased myocardial contractility and heart rate. Not only that, this sympathetic nervous system can directly inhibit this nerve ending, and this parasympathetic nervous system can directly inhibit this nerve ending. This one is called reciprocal inhibition. Not only activation of this path, they are going to inhibit this one as well. Reciprocal inhibition also there. Reciprocal inhibition also there. Now we move to MCQ. Myocardial contractility is increased by catecholamine. Answer is correct. Adrenaline and noradrenaline. You all know now. It increases the contractility. Answer is correct. And increase in the heart rate. Increase of the heart rate and contractility both happen simultaneously. So it must be correct. Your conducting system velocity and firing velocity of myocardium will going to increase by activation of catecholamine or activation of catecholamine induced pathway or adrenaline and noradrenaline. Once you have increased amount of adrenaline, it will increase the SA node firing activity. Initially it fire 60 beats per minute. Now because of adrenaline, it going to fire about 100 beats per minute. It increase the heart rate. Next one, an increase in the fiber length. Myocardial contractility is increased by an increase in the fiber length. Frank and Starling, Ernest Frank and Starling did an experiment. What they did is, they took myocardial fibers. This is myocardial fiber. They stretch it to this much, then release. What they observe is, it contracts up to this period. Stretch and remove, then again came back to this level. Then what they did is, they stretch it much more. What happened is, it contracts up to this level. Then they say, if you increase the myocardial length, it will contract more. If you increase the initial length of the myocardial fibers, it will contract more. Then answer is correct. If you increase the fiber length, according to Ernest Frank Starling, Frank is, we are not going to call Ernest Frank Starling curve. According to that curve, increase fiber length, which is going to increase the myocardial contractility. You can see it here as well. Answer is correct. Now you know activation of parasympathetic nervous system going to reduce both heart rate and contractility. Negative conotropic and negative inotropic. Answer is wrong. Next one is myocardial contractility is increased by calcium. You know, presence of large amount of calcium here induce large contraction. Why? Calcium need to remove the tropomyosin inhibition. Then your actin and myosin can interact together. If you have lesser amount of calcium, lesser amount of inhibition removed. If you have much more amount of calcium, much more amount of inhibition going to remove, contraction will move. That is all regarding your myocardial contractility. Thank you very much.